Hello everyone, I'm Fozzie or Cam, and I'm here as always with my co-host Will. How are you doing today, Will?
I'm doing fantastic, Cam. How about you?
I'm doing great as well, and we're all feeling really good here on the Everything Podcast as fans of the Patriots. We didn't break down last week's playoff round, but we broke down the week before. We made predictions, and we were all correct. We every single prediction we made was correct. So if you're betting, I mean, you probably could thank us or something. I don't know. But yeah, really not surprised, but impressed by our collective prediction there. But yeah, as Patriots fans here, we're really happy we beat the Texans, which we didn't get a chance to talk about here on the pod. We didn't really play that great offensively, but on the defensive end of things, we had one of our best games of the season. And honestly, kind of the same can be said for this most recent game against the Broncos, which we won to send us to the Super Bowl. I was blown away by the defense, and I was just really surprised with, how little the offense did. You know what I mean? And that's kind of a crazy thing to say, but just how productive Drake's been all season, how productive Ramondre and Travion have been this season. Diggs only got two or three catches in this game, which is another little surprising stat. But again, the defense came in clutch, which honestly, I'm not even worried about the offense playing mediocre right now. Anyone can play bad. As long as we get the win, I don't care. Drake may could have the throw for 0 yards for all I care. If we get the win, I'd be happy, And that's just playoff football, Individual stats matter less to me. I've been saying this for playoff football. Um, so yeah, I really enjoyed watching this Patriots game. Blown away by the coaching from Vrabel. And then you shift to the Seahawks in the Rams game, and you kind of get scared because I watched that game right after the Patriots won, obviously. And I'm watching these two teams, and I kind of just have in the back of my mind, it's going to be really hard to beat either of those teams. I was kind of rooting for the Rams just because they had a slightly worse defense, I felt. I mean, it was kind of clear that they did because they lost, but still, I think if we ended up playing the Rams, we'd struggle as well with that killer offense. I mean, both quarterbacks just threw up and down the field at with ease, and that's something we haven't seen from Drake May this entire playoff run, which is a little disappointing. But also, you have to take into account he's a young quarterback. He's what, 23 years old. He's younger than Coach Vrabel's sons, which is insane. And he's still playing at a pretty high level. I mean, despite him not throwing for 1 million yards this past game, he rushed for quite a few yards and made the clutch plays where it counted. And if he can continue to do that in the Super Bowl, I'll be happy. But watching Sam Darnold really just drop back there and launch that ball, seeing JSN make some of the best plays I've seen from a wide receiver. See Cooper Kupp continuing to make clutch plays, even though he's kind of washed up and old, and we've kind of seen that throughout this entire NFL season. But postseason Cooper Kupp, I guess, is on a different level, kind of. Rashid Shaheed is tearing up defenses left and right, tearing up special teams left and right too. So that's their third string, their third string wide receiver is a factor. That's a factor we have to take into account, and that's not really what you want. And then you got at least you don't have Thunder and Lightning in the backfield. I mean, at least we don't have to deal with Charbonnet, but Kenneth Walker's clearly been doing just fine with it just being him. He's also been tearing up defenses. So, and then you got to take their defense into account, which I mean is a remarkable defense. I still think we have the edge over them on defense, especially because I think their weak point is their quarterback. I think he will choke. I mean, I've been saying this. I think I've been saying this. Maybe not on the podcast, but in real life at least, I've been saying this. I don't think Sam Darnold has it all the way. I think he has the potential to choke and mess up and be the reason for this team losing. You know, he has thrown a lot of interceptions this season, and he's been, I mean, for most of his career, a pretty bad quarterback. And I mean, granted, he's played well, but also take into account that the last 2 years he's had some of the best offenses in the NFL. I mean, you go from playing with Justin Jefferson, who's a top three wide receiver in the NFL, to playing with JSN, Cooper Kupp, and Rashid Shaheed with an amazing coaching staff, a dynamic duo running back duo, and that with those weapons, I mean, that's gonna help any quarterback. But if we can force him to turn the ball over, I think we'll be good. But we'll get into our predictions a little later, Will. But I really want to hear your thoughts on these two games that we just got to see over the weekend.
Yeah, so I mean, in terms of the Patriots, look, when your team is in the playoffs, I don't care how they win as long as they win. So if it's
Yeah.
going to be a 10-7 low scoring game where the offense doesn't score that many points, but they win the AFC Championship, I got no problem with that. I am totally happy with that. And what's so great about this Patriots team is that with Patriots teams during the Brady Belichick dynasty era, it was the Super Bowl, and winning the Super Bowl is the expectation, and anything less than that is a failure. That's the total opposite with the team we have right now. If they win the Super Bowl, that would be amazing. But even if they lose the Super Bowl, it would still be a massively successful season because nobody would have ever expected them to get to the point that they're at right now. And when they won that AFC Championship game against Denver on Sunday, one of the things that I thought after that game is, how does Bill Belichick feel about this? Because Tom Brady very much strikes me as a guy who, um, you know, will, you know, want the best for people and be happy for the Patriots about their success. So I have no doubt that Tom Brady was thrilled to see the Patriots win that game, and Tom Brady. And if the Patriots win the Super Bowl, that wouldn't diminish Tom Brady's legacy in any way because he won a Super Bowl without the Patriots. But even if he hadn't won a Super Bowl without the Patriots, I still think Tom Brady would be totally rooting for them. Bill Belichick, on the other hand, his first two seasons without Brady weren't so bad. He even made it. He even took the Patriots to the playoffs in his second season without Brady, even though they had that disastrous loss to the Buffalo Bills. But the third and fourth seasons without Brady were just so bad that there's no way you can blame Robert Kraft for letting go of Bill Belichick. And even though Kraft and Belichick came out and said, "Oh, we mutually agreed to part ways," I have a strong feeling that it was Robert Kraft who said, "Bill, I think it's time to make a change here." So, unlike Tom Brady, Bill Belichick's legacy has just taken a massive downfall in recent years, especially with this horrible first college coaching season he had. So it really makes me wonder, how does Bill Belichick feel right now? Maybe there's a part of him, or maybe even all of him, is really happy for the Patriots because maybe he loved Mike Vrabel as a player and is happy for him to see the success that he's having now as a coach. But, any Patriot fan knows that things are pretty bitter between Bill Belichick and Robert Kraft right now. And with the feud that those two have going, I can't see Bill Belichick necessarily being happy to see Robert Kraft have this type of success, even if he's happy for Mike Vrabel. So we will never know how Bill Belichick is feeling, but boy, would I love to get inside his brain and find out, because I'd be riveted to know. And then in terms of the Super Bowl, as much as it pains me to say this, because with the Patriots' first three playoff games, with all due respect to the Texans and the Chargers, I felt like those were teams that the Patriots could beat. Denver would have really worried me, but once Bo Nix went out with the season-ending injury,
Yeah.
I was like, oh, we've got that game. But I am genuinely scared of the Seattle Seahawks as an opponent. I know the Niners were dealing with injuries, but Seattle ramrodded the Niners in that game. It was an absolute domination. And their offense put up 31 points in the NFC Championship game on Sunday, and Sam Darnold, I believe, threw for 3 touchdowns. So I think Seattle is clearly the toughest opponent that the Patriots are going to have to face in the playoffs so far. And look, if the Patriots win the Super Bowl, would that surprise me? No. Any team that makes it to the Super Bowl has proven that they are capable of winning at the highest level. So if the Patriots win the Super Bowl, that wouldn't surprise me at all. But I am massively scared of the Seattle Seahawks, and I have to be honest, if somebody forced me to pick a winner of the Super Bowl, Seattle is the team that I would pick.
Yeah, it hurts me to say this as well, but at the moment, I mean, I think from the moment I saw how badly the 49ers were beaten, and the from the moment that I saw how dominant this team would be in the playoffs, that's when I knew I think this is going to be a Seahawks Super Bowl. And right now for me it is the Seahawks Super Bowl, but I want to go through some things here. Well, what are some things the Patriots can realistically do to beat this team, So first off, I think Drake May really, I mean, really has to be putting it all out there. So something I've noticed about Drake May is that when he runs with the football, he runs a little bit reserved. You see Josh Allen, he'll take hits, and I'm not saying I want Drake May getting pummeled out there. But if you're gonna get hit, if you're gonna push through tackles, if you're gonna try to push the ball forward, this is the game to do it. If you get banged up, you got an entire off season to recover. It's not like you're going week to week after this. You do gotta put something on the line here. So in terms of his running, I think he needs to be more open to taking more hits than he's used to, trying to break tackles, using that big frame that he has. He's 6'4". That's huge. He's not a little guy. He's big. He can break tackles. He can move the ball forward. He can use that physicality that I don't think he's been fully tapping into all season. Every playoff game, he gets more and more and more involved in the running game, especially with the Broncos game where he kind of had to just based off the weather. And I feel like he was still not taking hits, but he was moving the ball further. He might have slid earlier in the season. You know what I mean? Some of those plays, and he wasn't. So he needs to be all out in that sense in the Super Bowl. I think honestly, if the turnovers stop, and which mainly the fumbling. I mean, 4 fumbles with the Texans. Like, granted, 2 of them were recovered. I don't care. That's still 4 fumbles. That shouldn't be happening in the NFL to any starting quarterback. I really had an issue with that, and I can't see how you wouldn't have an issue with your starting potential MVP quarterback dropping the ball twice. Four times and losing the ball twice. That's ridiculous. That can't happen. And it didn't really happen against the Broncos. Almost threw a pick at the beginning of the game. But if we can really limit the turnovers by just no turnovers at all, no sloppy play, then that'll give us another edge. I think if the defense continues to play how we're playing, Gonzo straps up JSN or Cooper Kupp, whoever he ends up guarding, I think that'll give us an edge. I think our defensive line is stacked right now, and it seems like people are getting healthier. And in terms of health, I've heard some rumors about a Drake May shoulder injury. I mean, we'll dive into that maybe next week as we get more information. It could end up being a false alarm, but there have been a lot of rumors going around that he suffered a minor shoulder injury to his throwing arm. But obviously, as more info gets released, we'll talk about it. But that could be a factor. But other than that, we are probably not going to be too bogged down by injury, knock on wood, unless anything happens in practice. I mean, we have, I believe, Harold Landry who didn't play last week, but hopefully with this 2 weeks of rest, he'll be able to rehabilitate and be back in time for the Super Bowl. I don't know if they've confirmed that that's even a possibility yet, but if it is, that would be a big boost for us, I feel like. So if the defense continues to play how they're playing and force the ball to be turned over, which is entirely possible with Sam Darnold at the helm of this offense, I think that'll give us another edge. And then finally, I mean, the guy. Stephon Diggs. Give Stephon Diggs the ball. You know what I want? I want Diggs deep balls. I need him to get the ball. He catches everything. He gets yards after every catch. And if there's a game for him to be going all out, I mean, he's an older player in terms of NFL wide receiver age, sure. But again, if there's a game for him to go all out, this is it. I think it's time to get even to get even more invested into Diggs. I think either he needs to have one of the best games of his career, he needs to be going all out, or another way we could look at it is getting all of our receivers involved. If we have plays with Kyle Williams and utilizing his speed, that would help. Efton Chisholm could even play a role for all I care. I mean, you got targets like Hunter Henry and Austin Hooper who are available. I think Hunter's been especially kind of underutilized these past playoff games from a receiving standpoint. And I think if we continue to utilize him, I think honestly that'll really change the game. Maybe if we get Travion Henderson running with the ball more, which we haven't really been doing, just because teams have kind of been calling his number and kind of a little bit cracked the Travion Henderson code. But if we can figure out a way for him to get outside and on one of those big runs like he's done earlier in the season, that would be great. And if Ramondre Stevenson fumbles in the Super Bowl, will I'm gonna break the desk that I'm at. I'm gonna break it and I'll record it too. So I'm gonna say this right now. If Ramondre Stevenson, this is official, Will, okay? If
Okay.
Ramondre Stevenson walks up, where's the Super Bowl? Santa Clara, right?
Yeah. Yep.
If he walks into Santa Clara feeling confident, feeling good, and fumbles the football, if that happens, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to record a video. I'm going to take an axe and I'm going to break this table. And everyone thinks I'm joking. I'm not joking. I don't know how you can be an NFL player fumbling the ball all over and I mean yeah, it's ridiculous. It's embarrassing. I don't know how you can be a running back one caliber player if you're gonna drop the football. That can't happen, and it hasn't happened in a while, which is why I'm not overly worried, and that's why I'm putting this table on the line. I really like this table, so that's mainly why I'm willing to put it on the line because I don't think it will happen. But in the back of my mind, I every time that man gets the ball, I think he's gonna fumble. And if he fumbles in the Super Bowl, if he just fumbles, that's it. I'm gonna be so frustrated. I'm gonna be so frustrated. But yeah, just keep that in mind, listeners. This table that I'm at, it's a nice wooden table. I think an axe would do quite a bit, or I don't know, whatever you want to destroy a table with. I'm gonna do some damage to it. I'll tell you that right now. So Ramondre Stevenson, he better watch himself. And those are some things I think we can do to win the game. Um, this in the next in 2 weeks. Yeah. Will, do you have any ideas for things the Patriots could possibly do to help come out with the dub here?
I mean, the offense is definitely going to have a big game. That is no doubt. But I think we're going to have to rely on the defense more than anything. I feel like the defense is going to need to have an another AFC championship type performance because let's say the offense has a big game. I believe the final score of the Rams Seahawks NFC Championship game was Seattle 31 and the Rams 27. The Patriots could have a big offensive game and put up something like 27 points, but the Seahawks have proven that they are an offense that is capable of scoring over 30 points. So the offense having a big game would definitely be huge, but I think it's really going to come down to the defense. I think if they don't have another AFC championship game level performance, I think the Patriots are going to be in trouble.
I'm in agreement with you, Will. I think the defense is definitely going to have to be the biggest factor, unless Drake May decides to go back to what he's been doing. And I struggle to really get mad about Drake May not playing great, just because of how young he is and how high of a ceiling we know he has, and he'll continue to be great. So I'm not gonna discredit him for having nerves maybe in the playoffs, or just maybe not playing his best football, being a little banged up, whatever it may be. So I struggle to be able to discredit Drake May for that. Um, but moving on from these, and obviously next week we'll have even more thoughts as more things come out. Whatever ends up happening next week before the Super Bowl, so we'll talk about it more then. But we also got the Oscar nominations this past week. Honestly, Will, I'm kind of happy with what I've gotten. Specifically the Best Picture. I mean, mostly good. Uh, how how was F1 nominated for Best Picture? That's what I kind of have to get off with right off the bat. And Will, you were also with me, and I'm not even outraged by it. I'm just kind of confused because it's not gonna win. Like, there's no way, there's almost a 0% chance F1 wins. You know what? If F1 wins an Oscar for Best Picture, I'll break this table. I'll break another table if Ramondre fumbles. But if he doesn't, then the same table's on the line. But yeah, I can't see a world where F1 wins this, which why nominate that film? I mean, there are other good movies. Eddington came out this year. I mean, a bunch of good movies came out in 2025 that didn't get nominated for Best Picture. J. Kelly, Weapons, Eddington. I mean that there are plenty of movies here. Wake Up Dead Man. It's just all over the place. And well, I think it's kind of fine that this was nominated from a technical standpoint, because from a technical standpoint, this is really good. The visual effects are amazing. From that standpoint, it's cool. And I'm sure it's gonna win a bunch of those tech awards, for visual effects, maybe, or costume, or whatever it may be. And that makes sense to me. But Best Picture, get out of town here. But I mean, speaking of kind of, I was talking about some snubbed movies there. I want to talk about an actor who was snubbed for Best Actor, and that's Jesse Plemons. He was snubbed for Best Actor in a Leading Role for the film Bugonia, which I watched last night, in preparation for the Oscars. Emma Stone was nominated, and she was great in the film, but Jesse Plemons is always great in every film. I mean, so is Emma Stone, but he's just not getting as much attention for it, and that's making me mad because I mean, he's been around forever and he's just great in everything. And he just doesn't get that nomination for this. This is a career defining role for him. I mean, it's a Yorgos film. He's starring in it. It's an insane character. It's an insane story. And he misses the nomination for Best Actor in a Leading Role. I was disappointed by that, but I'm glad Bugonia got the Best Picture nomination. I'm glad Emma Stone got that too. And I believe Yorgos also did, and so did The Score. So it's getting its fair share of um, of credit out there. But speaking of getting its fair share of credit, Sinners, with the most ever Oscar nominations for a movie. I can't think of a movie more deserving of that title, actually. But here's my thing. I think it's only gonna win one of these three awards. I think either Ryan Coogler's gonna win Best Director, or it'll win Best Picture, or Michael B. Jordan wins for Best Actor in a Leading Role. I think it's weird to say this, but with that many nominations, I bet it'll take some of the tech categories, some of the smaller ones maybe, and it'll take one of those three big awards, and that's it. I know and it's mainly just because of how many it was nominated for. That big of a sweep would be generational. That would be insane. Um, But most likely, I think it'll be Coogler. I think he deserves it a lot. I mean, Yorgos has gotten plenty of credit. I mean, the only person I could see competing with him is PTA, just because of how legendary his entire career has been. And I also don't know if he's gotten as much Oscar praise as other big time and other established directors have gotten. So that's the only person I could see being in competition with Coogler. Um, but yeah, that's just a crazy statistic. And honestly, I'm really happy for Sinners. But Will, do you have any issues with these Oscar nominations?
Yeah, so I agree with so much of what you just said. A lot of the films, like Sinners and One Battle After Another and Marty Supreme, it just makes perfect sense that they would be nominated. These are critically acclaimed films that it makes perfect sense would be getting nominated for Best Picture. But like you, when I saw that F1 was nominated, I was just like, you have got to be kidding me. And listen, if there is a film like Black Panther or Top Gun Maverick or like a movie like that that you wouldn't necessarily expect to be nominated for Best Picture, but it is and it's deserving, like those two films were, then I am all on board with a movie like that getting nominated. But in the case of F1, I just can't support it. I'm not saying F1 isn't a decent summer movie. I think it is. I think that's the type of movie that it set out to be. And to its credit, I think it accomplished that goal. But
Definitely.
I just do not think that movie was deserving of being nominated for Best Picture when you have a film like, let's take the Bruce Springsteen biopic that came out last year, for instance. I know that a lot of people weren't wild about that film because it probably wasn't the type of Springsteen biopic that they were expecting to see, but I feel like people completely missed the point about the story that that biopic was trying to tell. That biopic was not trying to be a biopic about Bruce Springsteen's whole life. It was meant to be a biopic about Bruce Springsteen in the Nebraska chapter when he made a quieter album that was way different from all of the rock albums that he had made before that. And I thought the fact that the film was very slow and quiet and had an independent film type feel to it, I thought it was perfect because of the period in Springsteen's life that it was capturing with the Nebraska album. So when you have a movie like Springsteen Deliver Me From Nowhere sitting out there, I just can't accept F1 getting nominated for Best Picture when you have something like Deliver Me From Nowhere, which would be way more deserving.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, and I think it just didn't capture the Academy movie because it was slower paced. I know a lot of people said it was boring, and while I recognize the slower pace, I would never say it was a boring watch, and maybe that's because I'm such a fan of Springsteen's. But for it to get nothing in the Oscars is absolutely ridiculous, and that same thing goes for Jay Kelly. And one of my main issues with this year's Oscars, and I've obviously felt it, and it's makes sense because they're the best movies, but it starts to annoy me when you keep seeing the same movies nominated over and over again. Sinners is one thing, I guess, and even still, it is kind of part of the problem. 16 is kind of excessive, but then you got One Battle being nominated for everything, Hamnet or whatever, nominated for everything, and you miss out on these other movies that were also really good, and like Eddington and Jay Kelly and Springsteen Deliver Me From Nowhere. Maybe some of the smaller movies like Friendship, The Phoenician Scheme. I mean, there are really good movies here that just don't get enough credit. And then there are things I'm happy about, like some of the tech awards. Like I'm happy Avatar will probably win that, and it deserves it, and that makes sense to me. I'm interested in the cinematography award. I'm interested in the score award, but it just kind of frustrates me when some movies just aren't given honestly aren't given equal chance to succeed that others are, you know. I think there are plenty of other good movies. You got Caught Stealing came out this year. That was a really good film. It just gets snubbed. Everything gets snubbed. And honestly, think about it. I mean, the Golden Globes are kind of more open than the Oscars are. Maybe it's just because the Oscars are that much more prestigious, if that makes sense. But I don't know. I'd like to see more variety next year in the Oscars, but that's not going to stop me from going back and watching as many of these big Oscar nominated films as I can. Like I said, watched Bugonia last night. Highly recommend it. If well, you got to be in a pretty crazy headspace to watch that. It's an insane movie. It was very disturbing. Great movie, equally great. All the performances were awesome. Probably going to go down in Yorgos Lanthimos rabbit hole now as well. Really brilliant director, honestly. But yeah, I'm definitely going to go back here and watch as many of these films as I can. Just rewatched One Battle After Another. I've already rewatched Sinners. Maybe I'll rewatch Weapons again. Who knows what I'll do? But yeah, I'm gonna watch Marty Supreme. Have you seen Marty Supreme?
Not yet, no.
How have we not seen Marty Supreme? It wasn't in the theater that I usually go to, which is why I didn't see it. But I can't believe it because that got a bunch of nominations and I haven't seen it. So yeah, I'm gonna be watching Marty as soon as possible. I mean, we love Chalamet here on the podcast, so it would only make sense for us to see it. So yeah, I expect us to talk about that too soon. But yeah, thank you all very much for checking out this episode of the Everything Podcast. Can't wait to talk more Patriots next week. Maybe our predictions will change. I don't think they will, but you know, you never know. But yeah, we'll see you next week.